to the Celtic Craft Studio. I'm Terry, and today we're going to do part 3. Let me get situated. Part 3 of our ring binder. So let me kind of show you where we're at. We're kind of bringing it down to the finish. Next week will be the last part of this series, and we'll go over kind of some of the final touches that I do. Once I get everything in and I'm happy, then I go through and I use stamps and stickers and maybe small ephemera to kind of fill in where I think there needs to be a little more interest. So we'll cover that next week, but this week we're going to do these little squares that open up. I'll show you how I did them. So many variations. I'll show you some of the variations too. It was fun, and it's, you know, when you get those different variations, it's hard to stop sometimes. All right, so what I did is I took a piece of scrapbook paper, Tim Holtz paper, whatever you have. Double-sided is best, but if you don't have double-sided and it's plain in here, you could cover it. You could use stamps, you could use stencils, you could take paper that you have and collage it. So many options. So don't feel like you have to do exactly what I did. Go off and kind of think up your own things. All right, so here we have 8 by 4. So I folded it in half and it became 4 by 4. And then I have a die that I use to cut that out, but you don't have to have a die. You can measure the window you want, how big you want it, and use an X-Acto knife to cut out that piece. All right, so basically you want to make a window, and you don't even have to make a window if you want to put something on the front. But then it opens up, and inside I decided to put a pocket. So let's ink him and glue our pocket down. Got the thumb notch. Somebody asked me about the punch that does the thumb notch. It's simply a circle punch, a 1-inch circle punch that you can find at any craft store. I know Hobby Lobby sells them, and I'm pretty sure they have them on Amazon. Oh, here I go throwing the tools. All right, let's go ahead and glue the pocket on. And your pocket can be anything, any size. Once again, just use your imagination. Sky's the limit. I use all kinds of things for pockets, just to make it different. All right, the one thing you want to be sure of when you glue your pocket down is that you can close this without getting caught on that pocket. So you need to make sure it's just a hair from the crease. All right, then you fold it, and when you do that, you might have an overhang. Now on this one I didn't. Very good. If you have an overhang, trim it off. All right, but there we have our pocket on this one. Okay, so let me move that over here and show you some of these. And this one. All right, so in the one we have in our journal, we have the pocket, and in the pocket we have a picture, we have a tag. I thought it was good to have the tab at the top. You'll see on this one when I put the tab on the side, you don't have to put a tab at all. But I put the tab on, and then I sewed around the front and the back. Once again, sewing is an option. And then I decorated it with a little tag here that was just simply stapled on. And then on the back, I did another pocket with a picture and a collage strip. Okay. Now here, you could, I decided I needed to do this because I did sew around. If you sew around, then you can't really put the holes here because it interferes with the sewing, okay? So what I did is I made a little tab out of some of the paper I had, but it was plain on the back. So then I took my tape and I covered it on the back, made the holes and put it in here, okay? But if you're not going to sew around it, you don't necessarily need to do that. You could put your holes in the frame, all right? So on the back then, there's the pocket and where I put the tab, okay? Pretty easy. It's interesting because it's a different height. It's square. It's not the same as the pages. You know, you could have all the pages the same, but I think it's more interesting when you add different sizes when it comes to the pages, when you add different things that kind of take your eye around, okay? The fact that this doesn't go clear over and you're looking on to the next page, it's just something interesting for your eye, okay? So that's what I enjoy about. That's my artistic sensibility. Let's put it that way. Those are things that I enjoy. And what's important is when you're crafting is that you do things that you enjoy. Follow your crafting spirit and see where it takes you. All right, so we actually have 2 of these in here. There's the other one. And I used the clips to close them just because it was kind of an interesting, once again, an interesting addition. But here's the other one with the tab. Now this, I just noticed, and you're going to notice things when you go back through. One, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to ink that because it shows. 2, I'm probably going to put something else right there to cover that. What? I don't know yet. But next week I'll show you after I cover that. Because this definitely needs some things added to it. Probably added in the pocket and added here. And then here in the back, I think I've pretty much finished the back. I like the way that looks with the tape. And then I use these little, what are they called? Those little paper, they're not paper clips. You put them through, you can't see because I glued it down. But it just adds, once again, more interest. Okay? And then on here, I took this and made a pocket. Another pocket here, but see, this is where we're probably going to add some stamps and some stickers. So we're getting there. Like I say, next week we will actually go over those final details that I add to my journals. Okay? So now that we've finished the square, let me show you these because I love these. I made a square. I was looking at this and I thought, now wouldn't that be cool if you put a transparency there? So I had some of the transparencies. Now that's going to glare a little. So let me try to get you to a place where you're not getting all that glare. But there's the transparency. I used the butterfly transparency here. It was perfect with this paper. It's beautiful. It's my favorite one. And so I went ahead and I used, some people call it baloney tape. Let me grab mine. It's score tape. Score tape. And I think this is a 1/4 of an inch. I think it's a 1/4 of an inch. And I used that around the opening. That way you can't see the glue, because if I use the glue, you're going to see all the globby glue, and I didn't want that. So use the score tape around your frame, lay your transparency down, and then You don't have to sew around it, but I sewed around it. Put the tab over here and sewed around it. Okay. And then I'll probably end up putting an eyelet here. But usually I decide those things when I finally decide where it's going to go. When I decide where it belongs, then I kind of add other things. Also, on this one, you can add like a little word, numbers, whatever you want to add here to add more interest to your frame, like I did on here. And this transparency, I used the broken windows. I thought, well, isn't that appropriate? It kind of looks like a grungy city scape. And so I thought, well, that's interesting, especially with him in there. All right. So the sky's the limit. Once again, you get started making these and you just keep making them and they just keep developing, and it's fun. It's a fun way to spend your crafting time. And you can add these to so many things. It wouldn't have to be in a spiral. You could use it in a journal like a pocket. You could forget about adding anything to the back, maybe glue on 2 sides, put it in the corner and use it like a pocket. That would be cute. All right, so there's a couple of ideas for you. So let's move on to this idea. This idea is a little book that I put into, you can put them in any pocket, but I used envelope pockets to put them in. And the idea started from another idea that I did long ago. It was putting envelopes of different sizes together. I'll get these out. I think the first time I made them was at Christmas, and I can't find my Christmas envelopes. I'll have to look and see. We're going to make these probably the next time we do some ephemera making. So we'll go into these with different envelopes. But what I did was I took 2 envelopes. So you can see the flap of the envelope, and I put one flap inside the other and glued them together, and it makes like could even be a journal, but it's definitely like an insert, a journal insert. And you can put journaling cards in here, journaling cards in here. You can create pockets to put things. So many ideas. And then, as I was sitting here the other day, I have a lady who I get my tea-dyed papers from. I suppose I could make them myself, but I don't know. I don't have enough time in a day to do what I do, so I don't know about tea-dyed papers. So I purchased my papers from a lady in Nebraska, which is special for me because I was born and raised in Nebraska. So I'm fond of Nebraska and anybody who comes from Nebraska. This lady, her name is Nell, and her shop is called the Vintage Snippet Shop. Oh, excuse me, I got it wrong. Vintage Style Snippets. Let me say that again because I got it wrong the first time. Nell at Vintage Style Snippets. And she has all kinds of great things that I think she finds in antique stores. She has quilts. She has different things that she's come across. And then she has these papers that she does. And they are gorgeous because she uses something to make these wonderful designs on her paper. And you'll see them more and more when I make journals. I'm pretty sure the next journal I'll be putting these pages in my journal. But she sent me these as a free gift in one of my packets. And I was looking over here and I thought, oh, you know what? That would make a great envelope journal or insert. So there you go. I'm thinking about that. We'll glue those together, glue something on the front. Once again, we can have pockets, inserts, something to play with. So be watching for that when we do ephemera. I think we'll, my tongue and my lips aren't working well today. Excuse me. All right, but let's get to this. So from that idea, I thought, oh, I could take these little envelopes and I could glue them together and create these little spots. So let me show you. I won't finish this one. I'll finish the one that goes with our... All right. So let me turn it over and glue my envelopes down. Once again, you can go ahead and ink them. And like I say, I like to do the envelopes because there's a white, when you fold them, kind of creates this white line, which I really don't want because that doesn't make them look very antique-y. So let's go ahead and ink these real quick. All right, and then we will glue them together so I can show you how this goes together. And I think I decided that these two would be the book. You kind of need to decide that. You might not care. Me, I'm a little particular sometimes. Once again, I think it's what's pleasing to your eye. It's been very cold in Denver lately, and my glue is very cold. It's like, oh. My craft room is down in the basement, so it's even colder. I have a heater in here, which keeps it nice and comfortable, but I don't want to use it while I'm filming so that you can actually hear me, which is probably hard to do sometimes. Anyways. All right. This one. Make sure you're gluing your envelope the right way. There is a right way and a wrong way. I found that out the hard way. All right, trying to get rid of as much of the glue. See, there I go. All right, and I decided that I wanted this dark part on the outside, so let's put it together like that. Make sure it fits okay, and that you don't have to trim. Sometimes you have to trim those flaps if they don't fit together properly. So let me go ahead and lay some glue down here. Don't get too much. You don't want it oozing into your envelope and getting your envelope stuck, because then you can't put anything in it. All right. So we will put, should grab a wipe because I keep getting glue on my mat. All right, let's let that dry, and I will grab a wipe to clean up my mess, which I am creating. All right. All right, so we've got, just make sure it's dry before you fold it, because you don't want it slipping. So while we're waiting for that to dry, and as the reason I use 3-in-1 is because it dries quickly, so we shouldn't have to wait too long. One reason I like the Tim Holtz papers is all the colors coordinate, so you can get some great papers that all go together. Maybe that doesn't matter to you. been accused of being matchy-matchy. But that's me. I guess I'm matchy-matchy. This is what we're going to put our book in. So now we've got that. All right, now we're going to fold it. Make sure it's dry. And then we want to fold it right where the crease is. See the crease? Make sure you fold it right where that crease is. Press it down with your finger, or I have this nice little... I don't think this was what this was originally meant for, but it works. I think it came with my scoring tool. I think it's to score. But I use it to push things down too. Once again, go back over, kind of get rid of those white. All right, and there we have it. There we have our little book. And like on this one, I found a picture to put on the front and a little tab which you can put on the slide, and of course it's going to get stuck. You can put on the slide, or you can put it on the picture. I think on this one I put it on the picture. I think I used a larger picture. So this one, I think, because this picture seems to be smaller. Let's glue her down in there. And I'm going to glue her to one side so you can kind of see that background there. Okay? And I picked her because she's wearing something lavender. So she kind of goes with my purple theme here. It's always exciting when a plan comes together. Okay, let me line her up. Make sure she's where I want her. All right, before I glue it down, I want to glue this on. And I do think I will ink just a little. Get rid of some of the white. And it can just be a touch of ink. You don't have to keep dabbing your inking tool into the ink. I use it, I do one dip into the ink and then I use it several times before I do that again. Sorry, I'm thinking about what I'm doing. Okay, so we're going to get that on there. Oh yeah, see, I had it on the picture, but it kind of hid her, so it hid her more than I wanted. So I like that. That's good. All right, and then we'll glue. Now, a lot of people use that score tape that I used on these on the slides as well, which you could do because you don't want to get any gloppy areas. Once again, you could sew these as well, but I'm not going to do that. All right. And then I'm not going to glue her directly on. I'm going to create a pocket like this one so that you have things coming out of it. Okay, so I'm going to take the slide. Once again, if you don't have this die and you can't make the slide, although there are several dies that you can get that make slides that aren't Celtic or Tim Holtz, so, but you could use anything as a pocket. You know, once again, use what you have. Just take the idea and make it work for you. All right, so let's put her down. We put the glue on 3 sides, so we've created a pocket, okay? Let that grab. All right, let me come over here and see. I think we want something like this. Ooh, there's one that's kind of bluish, purplish. That might be nice. See, and these are some of Tim Holtz snippets, but you could create these. You could take, in fact, I've done this with fabric. I've taken leftover linen or hemp that I have, and I shred it into smaller pieces, and then I stamp them, and you have those. You know, I've been doing this since 2018, and it's like collecting. You just, as you craft, you start to collect things. Some things I've chosen not to collect and kind of come up with my own. So this is perfect. I like this. I like that there. All right. Okay, we're going to give that a minute. I think we're going to go in here. Let's see if these fit. We're going to slide these in. See. Oh, and I put, do I want to do that again? I don't know, maybe not. You see, these have little tabs on them. But you don't have to put the tabs on them. You can just put the things in there. So these, I think I'll leave the tabs off. I always do the backs a little bit too, because they make the back so white. That's not very antique-y looking. All right, and then I'll slide this one on this side. So the flower is showing. And this I will do on the other side. All right, so this goes on this side. Ah, there it goes. Sometimes if it gets stuck, you might need to run your palette knife or whatever in there. Sometimes the glue causes issues. All right, so I have my 2 journaling cards in there. And then on these, you could either put a pocket, or what I did on here was kind of create a belly band. So let's see what I have to use as a belly band. In my opinion, I want my belly bands to be the same size, or at least close to it. So I think I'm using this smaller and not the bigger, because I like the butterflies. Yeah, I like the butterflies. So I think we're going with the butterflies. Once again, you might be yelling at me, no, do the other one. All right, so now I am going to add a little more ink to my tool. And I will ink, so it's not quite so white. I mean, if you're going for the white look, don't ink. But I like the antique look. I guess I'm an antique person in more ways than one. All right. So remember, you're creating a belly band. So let's see. I think I do want this end. And let's kind of get a general place to cut. I'll have to trim it. But I will go ahead and snip it right there. This one I will snip right above this. And then don't throw these away. You could use them on something, I'll bet. So I will put them in my scraps here. And then I will put a little glue on the top. And the bottom to create our belly band. Oh, and remember it's, well, maybe I'll go that way. It's going to hang over, so make sure you glue enough of it that it gets, and sometimes I do this little slide technique so that I know it's touching. Getting glue on the back. Make sure you get it over far enough, and I want to make sure it's fairly straight. All right, so there's one. We'll do the other one. Once again, this was just something different because a lot of times I do pockets, and I thought, well, we'll be different and do belly bands. There's a pack of strips that Tim Holtz sells, but you know, once again, you can make your own strips. A lot of times we create our own strips when we're trimming our papers. So save those strips. Use them for things like this. A lot of times I'll use my strips for side tucks in journals. So don't, that's probably a dangerous thing to say. Don't throw anything away. But, all right, so let's go ahead and trim these. Okay. So we have our two little belly bands. Somehow I feel like that isn't straight, but that just could be me. Yeah, fairly straight. Close enough for paperwork. All right, and then what I did was I used cloth strips. And as I've said before, cloth strips are just, in my opinion, a perfect thing. You can get the large ones, or you can get the smaller ones. Either one, they make great ephemera. So if you're going to invest in anything, that would be mine. And you know, I like these guys over here. So I'm going to go ahead and trim it there. All right. I'll go ahead and ink just a little. You'll get a feel for the inking. I think I was a little heavy-handed when I inked the first time. All right, so that's going to be a little too tall. So we're going to have to take some off. And I really didn't want to take some off because I like that postmark up there. So let's see if I can loosen this a little. Just a little. We don't want to take it off. Let's loosen it a little. See if that helps. Got to be careful because you don't want to glue these guys down. Okay. And I'll come back and check that later just to make sure they aren't glued to my thing. Okay. What shall we do on the other side? I like the stamps. All right, and this is in our envelope. So maybe I'll keep just a little bit off of here and a little bit off of here. Now, is that going to be the right size? I think so. I'm going to take my scraps, put them in my little container over here because I may use them later. They may come in handy. So don't have them too far away. Once again, I should be doing the back. I'll have to go. When I check that, well, when I check this one, all right, once again, we may have to loosen this. All right, let's take our loosen it just a little. Don't go crazy in. Oh yeah, he's too far down here. Okay. And you can do that if he's not glued down too much. That's another great way to use your palette knife, because palette knives usually have a good edge on them. Okay, let's go back and make sure this didn't get stuck. Ah, it didn't. Wonderful. At the back. Okay. You can add more. You can have something else in here. You can put more into the pockets. So many things to do. Okay. And then let's get this over. Here's my pocket. I had a bulldog clip, but I think he's disappeared. Oh, there. There. All right. So that's why I did the bulldog clips. Kind of keep that close so that when you put them in the envelope, you're not putting too much stress on the envelope. And I'll have her peeking out. Okay. So then we need to find things. We'll move on to this one instead of searching here. We'll find things to put back behind her and then she'll be done. So let's put her over here for now and work on this guy that looks like he belongs in our journal. All right, there's the bulldog clip. Let's put it over here so we don't lose it. So, as before, I glued the two envelopes together, okay? And for this one, I found this guy, kind of a goofy looking guy. And we're going to put this in first because I liked, it's kind of plain. This one is kind of plain. It's got that plain gray. So I wanted a little something in there. So I found this with the stars on it. Or you could even do that side. But I think I'll do the stars because you're not going to be able to read that side anyways. All right. We are going to put that down. I'm not sure if you're seeing my grays or not. I guess if you are, it's okay. You'll forgive me, right? I should be using my tweezers instead of shaking uncontrollably while I figure out where it goes. All right, so I'm going to put him down right about there. You line him up with the stars, make sure he's even. Close it up and see how it looks. Oh yeah. In fact, I may push him over just a tad more so you can kind of see the corners of those stars. Yeah, I like that. All right, and then I have this tab that'll go on here. So let's go ahead and ink it. Once again, you get started making these and you're going to get hooked and you're going to start doing the, oh, I can try this. Oh, I should use that. Yep. But it's fun. At least I enjoy that part of it. And as you've seen with many crafters, in fact, I think Rachel of Roxy Creation is doing a mass make series. So, you know, in my opinion, you don't have to mass make, but, you know, if you're going to make one, you might as well make two. And then you have things for other projects. Or you have things to give away, excuse me, as gifts. When you order things from my Etsy shop, I like to put in extras. So it's nice to have extras to give. All right, there he is. So now let's glue this shut. One thing about this 3-in-1, it creates these little strings, so you have to kind of watch that so you're not getting strings in your projects here. Okay, so there he is, and he's going to go on here. All right. So once again, we're making him a pocket. So only glue down the 3 sides. Leave the top open. We've got some things we can put in there. So let's go ahead and put him down. Put him down far enough so you've got room to put things. He's quite the character. Can you see? It's hard to put him in put things in certain places on my desk because you get a weird glare. And I don't know how to stop that. You know, you need the light to see, but you don't want everything to be glaring. All right. So while he's drying, let's go inside here. And we will put, oh, I like that. Let's put this one in there. And I think since this is very blue over here, we will put the red one on this side. And this one I may eventually put a tab on. If it fits perfectly, you probably don't need a tab, but you see how he slides down in there? So I think this one's probably going to need a tab. So I think we may put tabs on those. But we won't do that at the moment. Because I think this is going to end up being a little longer than I anticipated. You'll have to tell me, do you like short videos or do you like them long? All right, and then on here, I was going to put these, which seem to be perfect. I think there were 3. Oh, here's a striped. Oh yeah, I think the stripe goes on that side. And we'll put the airmail on that side. Let's go ahead and ink. All right, I need your opinion. As I get more comfortable with creating video content, I was thinking of doing other projects during the week. Maybe having a day where we make journals, different types of journals, and a day when we make ephemera. And I've started doing the slow stitch. I don't know how interested you are in slow stitch. I think it goes well with journal making because I've started making pouches that I actually put my journals in. And eventually one of my journals is going to have a slow stitch cover on it. So I think slow stitching goes well with journal making, but you let me know. I can always do stitching videos too and show you how to make a pouch, which is really easy. I'm not a seamstress in any way, shape, or form. So let me know. You know, this would be great for, so let's cut that a little shorter. That would be great for the front. Oh yeah, that works. Okay. I'll show you what I mean by the front when we get back around there. All right. Put this one on. And we have our belly band. Yeah, we're going to have to trim that a little long, but that's okay. It's okay. That's why God created scissors. Well, he didn't create scissors, but you know what I mean. Okay, we're definitely putting tabs on those guys. So let's go ahead and trim that. And see, I'll show you why I saved. I think, and maybe I just want to. Yeah, I think I just want to. But look at that. Doesn't that look perfect? All right. Let's put this on here. That works out well. One of those happy accidents. We like happy accidents. All right, definitely need my tweezers for this one. Line him up there. Center him and line him up all at the same time. All right, let me show you what I'm going to put in here, and then we'll be done. Okay, I think that is going to go in here. Slide it down in there. Okay. We got this nifty little thing that we can use. And he's a little too long, so let's make him a little shorter. Let's cut some off the end here, because I don't want him hanging over the top, because he's white on the back. All right, and then we'll put, I think we'll put this ticket in. Make sure the numbers are going the right way. Okay. get my bulldog clip. All right, and here I have an envelope that is eventually going to get decorated. Where he's going to go in that envelope. Okay. So there he is. And I found some cool little decorations we can put on there too. Okay. But I'm going to leave you there for now. And we'll be back next week to kind of put the finishing touches on this journal. And then it'll be ready to go into the shop and we'll be ready to start a new project. Once again, let me know if you want to see other things, if you'd like to have a journal making day, maybe ephemera day, maybe a stitching day. Let me know how you feel about that. I want to shout out to Lola and Sandy, who had lovely comments this week. I want to thank you so much for your support. I want to make sure you know how grateful I am for each one of you. And give me the thumbs up. Subscribe, tell your friends. I look forward to the next time when we get together to craft. Bye for now.